This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by Remax Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. Remax Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call Remax Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
I do want to get into streaming a bit of live races versus, a lot of people ask why we do that and do we think it's hurting the sport? I don't think it is. The story I always tell is, when the CBC came to the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1952 and said, hey, we have this new thing called TV and we're going to give every home game for free. I'm sure every one of their executives had the same thing. All the tracks around, were you nuts? Who's going to take the subway down to downtown Toronto in January when it's 3 feet of snow and pay $13, which was like $200 back then, to sit up in the grandstands and watch this when they can sit at home? Well, where's the Maple Leafs now? It's the number one franchise in the world, sporting-wise, because we all got it spoon-fed to us for free our whole life. And the other story I equate is, the Buffalo Bills. I've been a Buffalo Bills fan my whole life. I'm 50 now. Only in the past couple of years was I financially put in enough race hours, I guess, to be able to afford to take my kids to a game. But how did I become a fan of these? Because corporations paid for it for me to watch it free from my home. And, I still think there's merit there. Oshwegen's going to be free for eternity. So we're going to keep pushing that one.
And that brings up a good point because it actually... It's almost like he read the pregame pre-race script here because legitimately was going to bring that up too because it is a popular topic is the streaming conversation. But I will argue, and this ties back to actually GeForce, is I had no interest. We both had no interest in weekly racing. How I got to know names like Frank Davey and Todd Davenport, Rick Spencer Walt, like you had mentioned earlier, is because of GeForce. He was the first exposure I ever got to seeing weekly racing. It was the first ever time I saw it. I didn't even know there was dirt racing in Ontario.
We got it.
So, right? So, yeah. And now I know, like now some of those names, I say it almost every time I can that I love hearing the name Mike Sarantacos. Every time it's on the broadcast, it's my favorite name, and I can't wait to hear Adam say it. I don't know why. It rolls off the tongue so very, very well. But you get to know some of these names, and then you get to go to the racetrack. And I think for both of us, same with Rogers TV for London, for Delaware, no interest in ever going to Delaware, and then started watching the racing. I'm like, holy shit, this is awesome. And instead of watching the Craftsman Truck Series, which was always my go-to, oh my God, it's Delaware and Oshwegan night. I get to watch one after the other. Like, this is awesome. Like, perfect. I know what I'm doing tonight. And for me, I work downtown Toronto on Fridays. I am not making it to Delaware Speedway or to Oshwegan Speedway in time for the races. So what's the best alternative for me? If I can't make it there, I want to be able to see it. And what did it do? It reinvigorated my love. And we would talk about the races. We watched the OSS race in GP3R at Delaware, watching Kevin Trevelyan get his second career victory because it was available, and that it brings you back, right? And I think with the product that you guys put out there, aside from destroying drones and lights at Delaware Speedway, which was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
If that was anyone else, they would have been so frigging mad.
I don't know how we got a pass. I think it comes from being good partners. Have a good attitude and doing what we can to work alongside the APC folks that they know we're not trying to break their stuff on purpose. But having a laugh about it, thankfully was cool, and they were great about it. But I think some of the series you're going to see will go behind a paywall. There will be some changes. It's tougher for the series because when you come into a track and you're bringing in your free stream package and you give it away and the crowd isn't there and they feel. But I mean, for us weekly tracks, I can tell you from the Oshweekend side, I fight this argument where guys say, well, I know these old guys and they watch every week. They're not coming anymore. And I said, well, how often were they coming? And he said, well, 2-3 times a year. I said, well, how many times coming out? Well, 2-3 times a year. I said, yes, but now they're watching every week. They're paying attention every week. I don't know if this will come through, but I'll try and show that. Probably not. I don't know if it'll readjust now.
No.
These are the Oshweekend numbers that we came up with this week from YouTube. Our high point night was 34,264 viewers. So that's over 30,000, computers opening that up. Or it's not, I guess, let me rephrase it. That's not unique IP. Mm-hmm. But I have a hard time thinking that's 34 guys opening it 1,000 times on the Friday night while we're up there. Those are still some serious numbers.
Yeah.
Our low point was 14.5. So you still have, great crowds. Our lowest amount was 14.5. Our total was 381,000 viewers for the year Oshweek's Speedway. And our average was 23,008 per week. So our attendance wasn't markedly down. And when I ask anybody who's negative about the Oshweekend, I think, well, how many people do you think are staying home on a good night? How many people that used to come do you think are really bailing because they can sit and watch at home? 100? So I'll give you that. And that's on the high end, I would say.
Yeah, I would say maybe.
So 100, and I'm talking on a regular Friday when the weather's decent. Hey, if it's a questionable Friday, it's been pissing all night and we're cramming the show in, sure, some people are going to not take the chance and stay home. We realize that's the gamble we take. But on a regular Friday, and those are the nights when we hustle through the show and we do our damnedest and we have this mentality, okay, we're going to lose guys at home because of the weather. Let's make sure we hustle through the show, put on a great show, and make everybody who sat home wish they were sitting here tonight because we got this hustled in and we don't screw around and it's done. But I think, when you look at where we are on a regular night, so to 100 people, we charge $20 to get in for an adult. So we buy billboards all over the place. So if you said, hey, I'm going to give you the cost of 20 billboards over the course of the season, but we're going to let almost 400,000 race fans see your product, I would take that trade-off any day of the week.
Absolutely. Are you getting 34,000 fans in at one time?
Now, let's not forget, all those views are not in the stands, but the tangibles are. They're seeing all the sponsor logos on the race cars. They're hearing all the sponsor mentions. They're seeing all the banners we got on the fence. All of those are pickups we would never get, even if twice as many people came on a Friday night. So for us, I don't know. I'm confident that we're not killing the sport. And for me, the jump off point was the pandemic. That was the start point. So we're about 4 years into this 10-year plan that I've been calling it in my own mind. So in another 6 years, we'll see. Are the grandstands empty and everybody's just sitting home sucking off a free stream? Or have we built the sport into something a bit more? I think we need as many eyes on this thing as we can get on it.
Yep.
More people who see it. We weren't losing your money anyways because we weren't getting it. But now you see it enough, you're immersed in it enough. If you do have a free Friday, there's a good chance you may take a shot at us where you were never going to do that before.
We've already talked about it.
And we saw the last case study I got for you. We had a couple show up last year at Oshweekend holding up a sign saying, we're from Fairport, New York. We found you on GeForce. So we went up and talked to them. And it was an older couple. They watched every week. They said, we're race fans. We were flipping around YouTube, found you guys, started watching. We've been hooked for 1.5 years. And now we had to come out and do it. That was 4.5 hours away as Fairport, New York from Oshweek. So it became a destination from them watching it every week. and they finally decided, hey, let's take a drive to Niagara for the weekend. We'll venture up to Ush Weekend. We'll do some wine tasting and then head home.
Cool.
And it's just, I think we're on the right path.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What's that mean to you is like, as a businessman and a salesman for the motor, like they base their trip around you. That's pretty cool.
It's great. You know, Tony Spiteri was the guy who told me that years ago. He said, man, you're going to become a destination place. Don't worry about it. Even Glenn, like a quick insider story for me. I watch Supercross religiously all the time in the off season. Well, I went to it in Toronto and I thought, I'm never going back. I can watch it way better at home. Now, not to say it wasn't a good show, but the angles, the up close, all the stuff. And so I come back to Glenn and go, Glenn, man, maybe we're doing this wrong. And he said, no, you keep your foot on the gas. You make it as cool as you can, as immersive as you can. There's nothing that beats the smell, the roar, the dust. They're kind of calm. Don't worry about it. And so thankfully he's been a believer in it too and never let us lift up.
Yeah. It's the product is it, right? Just the proof is in what you just said.
But you're also, you get to look at it from a couple of different views in that you're from the broadcasting side of it, you are selling it for all the reasons that you just said. But then also from the promotion side on the track, you're out there pounding the ground and as I saw you in action there before, and you're running a mile a minute doing stuff, but like you're also stopping and seeing people and saying, hey, you having a good time? Is everything all right? Like you're selling every which way, and it's that kind of would keep your fingers on the pulse of everything really well, I would think.
Yeah, you know what? I always feel like I don't get enough touches in the night because once 7:30 I'm stuck in the infield, but that's really my passion. I mean, that's drivers want to drive. I want to be in the trenches in the crash zone and bringing all those images back. I love it. But I think like getting those touches in our banquet is a good story. We have 630 people at our banquet. I feel like I talked to 25. So at the end of every banquet, I feel like there's 600 plus people that, oh shit, I didn't get to say hi to that guy or that guy. And the night just gets away from you. There's no way you could possibly chat with everybody in the room. No. But I think, same thing on race nights. We have a great family crew at Ush Weekend. I hear that probably the most is how well people are treated by everybody at the track. And I mean, that's the biggest thing that makes me proud. Like our racing's awesome. Our ownership crew are wicked. The other one who doesn't get talked about enough is Tina Stiers, Glenn's ex, who's still a partner in the track, who's like, kind of my shoulder to lean on when it comes to the financial end. Not to say Glenn doesn't pay the bills, but when we have spreadsheets that are getting out of hand and it's just craziness, Tina's been kind of my rock all these years. She's the biggest one in my corner when stuff gets off the rails. And then, but our crew, our gate staff, everybody, even our officials, we always I try to tell our new staff, and every year we have our staff meeting, and I always try like lead with a smile first. Even if you're having a bad day, just start with happiness. Some customers are going to grind you down to where you're not happy by the end of that interaction, and it happens. Just do your best to grit it out. But man, if you can lead with a smile, usually they'll come back to you with a smile. And I think that's one thing. We have great staff at Ush Weekend, and try to treat it like it's Glenn's backyard, not just, hey, it's Walmart. If you don't like it, you could leave,
Right. Oh, you guys definitely do it right there for sure.
Exactly. And I almost think that what we can talk about, like, even it's the same thing with what we've said with Sunset Speedway this past year. They took like a huge leap in terms of their social media presence. And I think what's great about seeing stuff that you guys are doing at Ush Weekend Speedway, making big events, making marquee events that people come especially for those. And now seeing Sunset's doing that, building those big special events, making them something that people want to come to and make it, again, $40 per ticket at some racetracks for some people is really, really tough. But I always put the kind of the mind in there and say, well, a Leafs ticket, like we talked about, was like $200, $300. Yeah. So at the end of the day, most racetracks you go to, you can go and get an autograph for free. I was like, you're not going to get that when you go to a Leafs game. Like, we offer something that a lot of people would just have no clue that that's what happens. So I almost wonder, like, is it? What are your opinions on like the population about how many people even in our province do you think are even aware that there is this whole racing world in Ontario?
Not enough.
That's right.
You know, we have a new sales guy working for us, Mike Morris. He's in his second year. He's done a fantastic job. He brought in a ton of new business already for us for next year. Our banners are almost already sold out. What I've told Mike, like, even on a great night at Osh Weekend, we have 2,000 people there. Well, our grandstands up front seat 5. So even our best regular Fridays, we're still 3/5 empty. So how do we fill up those rest of those stands on a regular Friday? Now, we're built for major events, but man, I'd love to have them packed every week like we were back in these tracks in the 60s and 70s. So, that's just one of the things where we're working on there to try and figure it out. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
I can't remember.
Me either. I was going somewhere with it too.
Yeah, I mean, there's this part of the whole deal here is that one of the things that we're hoping with motorsports is to bring that new. How do you get the new fan to come in?
Okay, right? I know where I was going with it. I got it now. So I equate our sport to ringette. Okay,
interesting. Okay.
There is hundreds of thousands of people that play ringette across this country, but you're never going to see it on the front pages of your newspaper, and it's never going to be on your newscast at the sports at 6. It's just one of those fringe sports where we have to claw our way to the front pages, and sadly enough, the ones of us who have been through tragedy where we've lost drivers, that's the only time these bastards come knocking at our doors, when they want the story, when they're chasing these ambulances. And thankfully, I can tell you, for the most part, you'll see this group of tracks here in Ontario stand up and not give any statements. I saw it. There was an issue where, a driver lost his life in the States, and they all started calling us asking for quotes, and we all just basically told them, hey, you don't care about us when stuff's good? Don't care about us today. Take a beat. So that was kind of cool to see the industry stand up for itself that way, But hey, when it's time to band together, we will. I mean, look at through the pandemic, we were shut down, and we were left in that crack where, we didn't qualify as big sports, and we didn't really qualify as minor sports. We're kind of in the middle there somewhere. And thankfully, had smart people like, the Rinaldis out of Brighton, where Mark's dad was a politician for a long time. He knew the right people and the right doors we talked about earlier to knock on, to get our message heard and make that sales pitch. And, we didn't get the check signed, but we got the amendment signed to allow us to go racing with no things. And that was a deal where all the tracks got together and was trying to change the outlook. And that's when you realize just how many people are involved in the Canadian landscape here. I heard it quoted a long time ago. It was a meme floating around the internet, so it had to be true. It was like, if you put together short track racing in North America, with all the tracks that are racing every Friday, Saturday, in every backwoods county, and all the people that participated, we're bigger than all the stick and ball major sports put together attendance wise.
That's true.
And annually, we have more people that come to short tracks than hockey, Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL all do together combined. So, we just got to stick together and make our voice heard better.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a great statistic, though.
Well, it is, and I'd love to see, like, because we've talked about this before. I mean, there's great things. Sure, we can say like the NASCAR Canada Series, and I really think that name change is really going to do something. I really like the fact that, because the one thing I mentioned actually just literally on the show previous to this, but was that the longest time I knew what CASCAR was. I had never seen it, but I knew what it was because it was Canadian NASCAR. Well, now we literally have NASCAR and Canada in the same name. So, when you have somebody like Dale Jr. that doesn't know, he calls it the NASCAR Pinty Series. Like, people are going to go, what the hell is that? Right? So, and then Trayton Lapsevich at the Derby was announced as a Pinty Series champion. Right? And I'm like, yeah, we do drink a lot of beer here in Canada, but we're not Pinties. We're sometimes we're Pinties, but I'd love it that the recognition obviously comes through. And I think, again, building and that's why we're going through a bit of a change on the G-Force show, is because of the grassroots guys. You need future stars. You need to build a strong core, a strong bottom of the totem pole, really, to be able to build a way for people to come through the system and work their way up. It's not what it was 30 years ago. And I think there's a lot of people that still, back in the day we had 60 cars. Well, it's not back in the day anymore. Like,
you look at what we talked about earlier. So back in the day, a CAS car, late model, was raced at multiple tracks with common rules. And if you were selling a CAS car late model, you weren't selling a Delaware late model. You were selling a CAS car late model. So when that tour came to town, and thankfully, I mean, in the past couple of years, they just got away from that, where now Sunset is trying to get to a pro late model instead of a limited late. And we're getting closer than we've ever been at that top level, right? And I think that's going to help. I was at the APC meeting last Wednesday, where they are going to make some small amendments to their rules. Things like, I think it was transmission shocks and rear ends, maybe, don't quote me on that. But there were 3 items that they were going to bend on to allow the home track late models to race with APC when they come to town, because the transmission or the shock package was a little bit, they're still going to have to meet all the body templates and most of the stuff. But these 3 major components, they were going to let them dabble. They still couldn't be in points, but they could participate. And that's a good starting point, I think. But, you know, when it got to be the NASCAR series, it got out on its own. And I think it's still kind of hung in the middle. And what I mean by that is, here in Ontario, we have such a saturated market. And I'm trying to go all over the place, but I do want to get these points out. So it's kind of like radio. I took radio, TV, film in school. And our professor said, listen, think about how many radio stations are in the Niagara, Toronto, Hamilton, London, Buffalo corridor. There's more radio stations here than there are anywhere concentrated this much in the world. Most places you go to Edmonton, they have 1 rock station for half the province. You know what I mean? Here we got 10 rock stations all battling for a little piece. We have the same problem with racetracks. You know, out west, you got 1 track for 3 hours, and different, same thing down east. So here there's such competition. Well, my late model guy at my home track has 24 cars, and the Pinty series only has 19. What are they? National series? No. And it takes a lot of shit because of that. It always has around here.
Yeah.
But when you get on the tour, like I've been fortunate enough, and you go to Newfoundland and you see the response to DJ Kennington, oh my God, this is the guy I watch on TSN every week in my home place. Well, we see DJ race any number of places. We're spoiled in Ontario. When you go expand your wings a bit, you realize, wow, that series is a lot bigger than we give it credit for here at home, because there is so much race pressure, as I call it. Same things people say, why do you have your Big Ush weekend race on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday? Well, I want everybody to come. If I have it on a Saturday, Merrittville people, Sunset people, Flamborough people, Brighton people, Buxton people, Peterborough, I'm not getting any of them. If I run a big race on a Monday, Tuesday, I got a shot of getting them to come out.
You're making it a destination.
Well, you got to change it up if you want them, because they're all not going to get with their point standings to be there. But what I'm getting to is what the goal for NASCAR International is. If you see, there was someone posted this weekend, I don't know if it came from this camp or it was posted somewhere. It was like a V6 mid-engine car they're using in Brazil or something like that. These are way different machines than we got here. But the plan is to get everything on some type of common package eventually, where you're going to see an international series. So right now, it's all over the place. Your Canadian NASCAR is this, and your Brazil NASCAR is this, and your Mexico NASCAR is this. But when the day comes, if they can get them on that common platform, you're now open up to a worldwide series of talent, drivers, participants. And it's not, that is not a 2-year plan either. It may take 10 more years to get there. But the fact that they're building NASCAR Mexico, NASCAR Brazil, NASCAR Europe, and now NASCAR Canada, that's a huge thing that I don't think anybody, fan, I think the teams are looking, maybe some of the bigger teams, like a guy like Tagliani has definitely got his head around what that's going to mean internationally in a couple of years. But I think, some of the smaller teams don't really deal with it. And I think the biggest problem, I need to tell Tony this when he had the helmets, nobody gives a shit about being in that series because it's out of reach cost-wise.
Yeah.
So none of the kids coming up at Flamborough or Sunset aspire to do it, because unless their grandpa or Uncle Tony is mega rich, they're never going to have a hope in hell of doing it because they can't sell themselves. So we got to figure out how to get kids to aspire to be in that. And maybe this is the way, by making it half as cool as F1. And I know people around the race world are joking at me comparing that, but it's not that far-fetched when you look at the people behind it. NASCAR International is a small group of people concentrated on this goal. And I mean, Chad Siegler, Alan, their team, I mean, I know these guys, they're focused on tying. And it's not me bullshitting this out. I mean, you're talking Middle East, you're talking possibly China, you're talking worldwide eventually.
Yep. Yeah. Plans and built, like you said, never be content. Like you said, never be content, right? And that's the thing is, and then I look at this and go, okay, they're talking about having chassis. Well, we could go and start bitching and complaining that, oh, that's a terrible idea and all this and all that. But guess what? You know who reaps the benefits if all those cars are not are not usable anymore? OSS. So
you guys have your own agenda.
I love it.
Hey, you never know. Maybe they all switch to the platform we're on. You know what I mean? Right now, there are apples to prunes as far as the cars go. You know what I mean? They're not even close.
Yeah.
But I think the goal of putting them all together and bringing them all together in that nation versus nation. I mean, you look at every sport, even NFL started doing a lot of international games. Everybody's trying to break into that international market because you wore out what you got at home.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, like you said, what's great about Formula One is they go and they succeed in those markets. They sell, and they sell a lot. And it's the selling point. It really is what it is. I mean, NASCAR has, what has it always been thought of as? It's an American redneck, there's no, and so people just didn't even bother, right? And now all of a sudden you try to sell this NASCAR International thing and you've got bases. And I think that realistically, you could have racers from every country participate in it, and it becomes Formula One for stock car racing.
Yeah.
Which is a market that they have not tapped into that at all. I mean, it was always just, this is what it was. Right.
So how would they get around? Well, look, they had to put everything on a boat to get it to Newfoundland. We're not that far logistically. We're more mileage away, but the process is still the same,
If I'm not mistaken, IndyCar back in the day, CART used to load all their stuff up on airplanes and take it over, right? So
same way, crazy.
Yeah, so like there is options. There's definitely stuff there, and I think this is the thing that there's a lot of people, and I've learned this, and we've talked as being a host of a show that and doing the podcast as well, is there's a lot of negativity, and there's a lot that people, no matter what you do, no matter what you offer, whatever this is coming or that's coming, people are gonna bitch no matter what. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've watched Race Rivals enough times to see that you guys announce something fantastic, and then there's comments, "Oh, this is stupid," right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, the fact of the matter is, though, people are still tuning in. They're still paying attention. They're looking at this type of stuff, and I think having
it's like politics that way.
Well, yeah, and you guys having what Glenn has, that show, Friday Night Thunder, is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant for trying to get names out there, for getting coverage out there. Like we saw Formula One, and I feel, again, most people didn't really pay attention to it in the US, and then this Drive to Survive came up, and who knew Gunter Steiner swearing 15 times in a minute would bring in an audience, but it does. And the more coverage is better, right? Like it is just what you said. So again, all of a sudden, GeForce TV, I know who Adam Ross is. Now I know who Clinton Geoffrey is. I know who Greg Callan is, but I know all the racers too, because of what you guys are putting out there. The more is out there, the better, right?
I call it immersion. The more you're immersed in what's going on, and the more people are seeing, like Adam has said for many years, we may not get every Saturday night racer coming to Oshweekend, but if they're all in their garage prepping for Saturday, watching what we're doing, we're going to get them at some point. Our sponsors are still being seen. There is, intangibles to that whole formula that can't be measured right now. But I mean, I think we're fortunate enough, Adam and I, because we travel around to enough places that we've been at this 25 plus years. In the past really year, it's multiplied 10 times over of people recognizing us, talking to us, reciting our inside jokes. Like for me, I don't know how many times somebody screamed from me across the place, "Where's your bananas?" And that just shows me that they've seen enough of us that they know that I should probably be eating a banana because I owe Adam 36 of them, which is that's just the funny stuff where we have a good time with it. I know some of the diehards don't like it. I get it. I get Adam hate mail. I don't even send to Adam sometimes because I don't want to hurt him. But I wouldn't trade Adam and Greg for the world. They're like those two old crusty guys at the Muppet Show up on the balcony, barking down, "What are you clowns doing right now?" But I mean, I could listen to them guys all night, and I do. I come home for the races and stay up till 5 a.m. if we're not flying out and just listen to the races and rewatch some of the good points. And because I remember how it happened live, but I kind of want to see how it came up on the screen as it was going down, But no, we just have a good time, and I think if you can stay up there and that's my advice to everybody. It's just, be positive if you can, for one. The sport doesn't need any negativity. And, if you're up coming announcer, just talk about what you see. Don't be fake. And, we're all just race fans in the stands with microphones. That's the way we looked at it. I'm like, "Hey, Adam, did you see that?" That's because I was that guy before I got the microphone and got to stand in the infield. So, But I got hired at Oshweekend to be manager about 8 years ago, right before the banquet, like the week before. So my first keynote speech came at the banquet. And I just told everybody, if you stick with us, we'll be able to do some great things. We'll get television coverage. We'll build great events. It doesn't do us any good if you guys out there slam us on social media. And I think we've done a really good job at Oshweekend. You don't see a lot of crap coming out of our camp because I will nip it in the bud right away. I called the guys, "Hey, what's the matter? You didn't have my phone number? You can't send me a message to let me know you're mad?" And then at least give me a chance to settle you down before you just go throw us under the wolves. But I think that mentality of Oshweekend has been really good for us. And it shows. We've got, the documentary program, our weekly coverage, run Rev TV weekly, sponsorships up, car counts up. Everything seems to be going the right way for us up there. It's just keep pulling on the same rope and we can make great things happen.
Yeah. Well, I think to bring it full circle, there's to be the pinnacle of your sport, you got to start from somewhere. And by having all this media coverage and promotion available to the masses, it makes it that much more viable for people to either A, get involved and be part of a race team or be part of racing, whether you choose it just to be in the grandstands or get involved in like the officiating side of it or whatever. It's all cause and effect. Everybody's putting out a product out there to, I think the word we can use here is allure. Racing has so much allure to it, and all the stories that we get to either cover or comment on week to week through the racing season, and even now through the silly season that we have a lot more off-season dialogue and commentary and storylines happening that, probably always did happen, but people are interested in that stuff. So, I mean, creating that allure when the lights are all dark and everything at the track also really helps people get amped up for when the lights come on and everything goes green again, eh?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, guys like me were always doing this work at this time of year, but there was never any discussion about it until the schedule came out. And it'd be, "Oh, why did he book that?" or "Why did he do that?" Well, I get to go on these platforms, explain what we're going through in the negotiations, why we ended up where we were. I think as a promoter, if you can use it to your benefit, I have a better voice because now people are saying, oh, that ass, why did he do that? I can explain the math why we got where we were. And that's one thing, we always tell our drivers too. And, Glenn always wants us to have a driver's track. So what he means by that is customer first, driver first, take care of your drivers. And I like to say, in this sport, you're going to have to explain it to the driver and then the crew chief and then his parents and then his girlfriend and then his cousin and then his fans. If you're not prepared to tell a story 9 times of why you threw the black flag at the guy, you better not do it. Yeah. But I also like to say to the drivers, you may not always agree with where we got, but we will always take the time to explain to you our thought process and why we made that call or why we're sticking to, not granting your appeal or, the reasoning behind where we are. And I think being able to open up like that, makes it easier for me to be in this role and to talk about some of the stuff. Like we have some wild stuff coming out in the next couple weeks. And to mention silly season, like for me, things are changing by the minute here. Like I woke up thinking we were going to plan 20 events for something today. We decided we're going to scrap the whole thing. Well, that's just totally, that's how my days are. And then tomorrow we'll build something new. And and then in 3 weeks when it all comes together and we finally get a schedule out, I'm not saying I'll be done by then, but that's the goal here is mid-January. I think you're going to see it's like, wow, that's cool. But man, the ebb and flow of how we got to where we are from where I was in November to where I was, like even dates, I'm trying to put stuff together with Kenny Schrader and Kenny Wallace. So I started my weekend thinking, yeah, Kenny versus Kenny, it's going to be amazing. Well, by the end of the weekend, Kenny Wallace got a different deal. He can't make it now, and that whole plan is out the window. So now you got to think of something new. So by noon today, I'm on the phone with another guy trying to make something else happen. And, so it's just, it's fun. It's interesting, but frustrating too at times.
I bet.
I equate it. Those little puzzles you get like in the dollar store with all the numbers and one space to be open, and you had to kind of move them all around to get. That's what the scheduling is like. You move 3 pieces to put one up there, and then finally you get the picture where it's supposed to be inside the little plastic box. But my chickens' heads are still all upside down in my box right now, so we're trying to figure it out.
Well, you dated yourself right there.
I got a Rubik's Cube that
sliding
I play
pictures.
With when I'm stressed,
Rubik's Cube. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Clinton, obviously we could talk for hours and hours and hours because you're just a wealth of knowledge and really just so inspiring for both of us as fellow podcasters and people that are trying to help motorsports. And it's been an amazing partnership, and we're really excited to continue partnering with you guys. And in a bit of a rebrand for this year, we're going to have GSR and Oshweek Speedway on our uniforms this year, which we're really excited about. And but you've also been, you and Adam and Greg and Spencer especially too. I can't ever forget about him because he does such good help with helping us. I'm not a I can't even say the word. See, I'm not a technology guy. Graydon's not a technology guy, but
I'm less than that. So
we go to Spencer for our questions on tech, and he's done nothing but help us improve. And you guys really helped us get into our foot in the door, and it is an honor, and we always want to make sure that we do you guys proud. So we're excited for 2024, man. We're so incredibly thankful for all you guys have done for us, and we can't thank you enough for coming on and being the big end of 2023 for the season. And it's always a blast to have you on. So thank you for joining us.
No problem, guys. It's great to be here. We started the same way many years ago as super fans. We clawed our way into this, and just don't ever give up on it and keep pushing. I think the sport's a great thing, and more than ever, we've got a lot of people working together, and it's going to be all right here. So just keep sticking with it. And I think more than ever, we've got more media people like us, and that, like we said earlier, it's going to help out. So, just keep talking about the sport and hopefully get more people watching it.
I guess we'll have to make that trip to Oshweek Speedway, right?
That's right. Keep watching if you're not.
Absolutely.
We want you there, but as long as you're watching, we're going to get you eventually.
And that's the fun part about it, is that it's available. And that's one thing that we maybe didn't know that we had a couple years ago. So if you haven't already, make sure you go out there, get your tickets for Weekend Speedway 2024. Make sure you go out there, subscribe to G-Force TV. And of course, while you're there, might as well subscribe to Stickers and Scuffs. Thank you all for an amazing 2023. And we'll be back with new episodes, Ladies of the Oval Month in 2024. So exciting. Clinton Geoffrey, everybody, here on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.